I hope it is very clear, the board is clear, right? Someone give response, yes, clear, right, ma'am. Hope you have completed. Morphological and physiological expressions of the living organisms are called characters. Do you understand this statement definition? Clear. So I'll proceed. I'll proceed. Okay. Now, many of the students, especially when you come to genetics, monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross, you will get confusion with another term, trait. If you understand the basic difference, fundamental difference between character and trait, this lesson is this topic is very easy topic and very interesting topic. Now let us know trait. If you consider the height of the stem, you may take any plant. Let us take a pea plant. Pea plant. You know, every plant has certain height. Height may be less or more. That's all. That will be the difference. Definitely, every plant may have certain height. So here pea plants, some of the pea plants may grow taller, we call it tall plant. Some of the pea plants may grow short, a little tall, then we call them as dwarf or else short. Then tall and dwarf you should not consider as character. Why? Because there are the subdivisions of the character. In this particular character, here height of the stem is a character, height of the stem is the character. Tall and dwarf and distinguishable expression of this particular character. You are able to observe, oh, this is dwarf, very short, and this is tall. Hope it is very clear the difference between a character and trait. Note down the definition for trait. Distinguishable expressions of the characters are called traits. Example, tall and dwarf. Okay, okay. So what about other students? Visible. Maybe network issues. You try to adjust today because I am telling. Hope voice is clear. No doubt. Distinguishable. Distinguishable. Distinguishable means able to separate, able to identify separately. Mute your mic, Hafi. Distinguishable expressions of the characters are called traits. Don't worry about this topic. I mean, so the session will be recorded, and then tomorrow evening you can see in your app in recordings. Just go to the recordings and click there. This video will be uploaded. Then you can watch whenever you want. So after the class, after 24 hours, automatically the videos will be uploaded in the app. Just go to your recording session and click. Just you can see everything, all the classes. So this is the very first class. Okay. Distinguishable expressions of the characters are called traits. So there you note down clearly. Note, NOT note means height of the stem is a character. Height of the stem is a character, whereas whereas tall and dwarf are traits. Now we are trying to understand how the characters transfer from parents to progeny. What do we call this process? This is called inheritance. No doubt. Inheritance. The process of transfer of characters from parents to progeny is called inheritance. Sometimes it is also called heredity. Inheritance is the correct term. Actually, the process is called inheritance. And this heredity, most lesser, more similar to inheritance. Actually, that is what adjective. The phenomenon is called. The phenomenon is called heredity. The process is called inheritance. This is the slight difference between inheritance and heredity. But mostly it is used in same meaning. Inheritance and heredity. So name of the phenomenon is heredity. Name of the process is called inheritance. Generally, we can see that majority of the characters, majority of characters are being transferred from parents to progeny. Progeny means next generation, or we can say offspring also. Then here, along with you can find yourself, you may have few characters from mother and few characters from father, and there are few characters which are not present in either of the parents. What do you call them? Yes, they are called variations. Then in this topic, we will try to understand what is how the characters are being transferred. Okay, transferred, it's okay. Then why this new characters? New means which are not present in both of the parents, which we call variations. And so the study of inheritance and variations we call as genetics. Note down. The branch of biology, the branch of biology which deals with inheritance and variation, or simply the study of inheritance and variations, is called genetics. You know very well the father of genetics, Gregor Mendel, is considered as father of genetics, and one of his famous experiments. Today we are going to see monohybrid cross. Now you have come with a few of the definitions. Definitions are very very important. Character, trait, phenotypic characters, and then we have come to definition for inheritance, variations, genetics. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay, okay. So what definition you want? Trait. Distinguishable expression of the character. In the character, there will be subdivision. Height of the stem is the character. In that, if the height is less, we call dwarf. That is a separate expression. And height of the stem is little more, then we can call it tall. So, distinguishable expressions of the character are called traits. Okay, fine. Any other doubts? Because fundamentals, you should not have any confusion. Then you can understand any difficult concept, not a problem. If you are strong in fundamentals, everything you could understand very well. So shall I proceed to next? Okay, fine. Fine. Good. So here, Mendel, he selected pea plant. Why did he select pea plant? That is a topic we'll discuss later. Today, directly we are going to the monohybrid plant. Just listen what he has done. He observed various kinds of pea plants, the first thing. And then he selected one tall pea plant. So this you might have studied in 10, you might have forgotten. Don't worry, listen carefully. He selected one tall plant. Good. And one dwarf plant. Okay, you can consider this as father, this as mother, means male parent, female parent. Male parent and female parent. Now, in you may get one doubt. How can you say this is male plant, this is female plant? Are there male plants and female plants? Yes, even in plants also you will have male plants and female plants. To understand that, you must know the structure, basic structure of the flower. In brief, I tell you. So generally, this is the stalk of the flower, which we call pedicel. The tip of the pedicel is swollen in nature. Just to draw the rough picture, whatever I draw on the board. Don't be idle, be ideal, be active in the session. So the tip of the pedicel is thalamus. Over the thalamus, various parts of the flower are present. The first whorl is called calyx, the second whorl is called corolla, and the third whorl is called androecium, and the fourth whorl is called gynoecium. These are very basic fundamental points. I hope you know very well. If you don't know, not a problem, just learn them itself. This is called calyx. The first whorl, whorl means circle, outermost circle. The next one called corolla, and third whorl is called androecium, and the fourth whorl is called gynoecium. Right. Actually, when all these four parts are present, then the flower is called a complete flower. Complete. You cannot expect all the flowers with all the parts. If present, we call it as complete flower. If any one of the whorl is missing, then we call it as incomplete flower. Okay, right. In this, when you come to sexual reproduction, so androecium and gynoecium are going to play a major role. Androecium acts as male reproductive organ, and gynoecium is the female reproductive organ. No doubt. Androecium here just male reproductive organ, male, and gynoecium is the female reproductive organ. So in a single flower, both male and female reproductive organs are present. Then we call this flower as bisexual flower. Bisexual flower. You cannot expect both male and female reproductive organs in all kinds of species. If you consider Hibiscus, Datura, there you can find both male and female reproductive organs. Then we call them as bisexual flower. In this case, we cannot say this is male and female. It is bisexual. If any one is missing, then we call them as unisexual flowers. I'm going with very fundamental, very simple fundamentals. I hope you know. If you don't know, not a problem, you learn. Unisexual. The flower with either androecium or gynoecium. Listen, unisexual flowers are of two types. If androecium, I mean, if male reproductive organ is present, then we call it as male flower. If only gynoecium is present, then we call it as female flower. If a plant has only male flowers, we can call it as male plant. So in plants also, male plants and female plants are present. It is not a joke. Really, they are present. Okay. A plant with only female flowers, we call that as female plant. If you consider papaya, all papaya plants could not produce fruits, you know. Male plants do not produce fruits. Only female plants produce fruits. Example for unisexual flower or unisexual plants, we can say papaya or date palm. Okay, this is now consider, sir, you have taken pea plant. No, what kind of flowers do pea plants have? They have bisexual flowers. Then how can you say this is male and this is female? Simple, a technique. So when I consider this as male, see, then I will cut off the female reproductive organ. It's not problem. I will collect only. I'm going for artificial pollination. I'm going to involve in this mechanism. Just I will collect the pollen grains from the anther. Anther. This is the anther. And can I dust over here? When you come to here, female plant, which I have considered female plant, there with the help of scissors, I will go and cut the stamens. This I will cut. I'm going to remove male reproductive organ, so then it will become female. That's all, simple logic. Do you understand here? Any doubts? Okay, fine. So finally, so all the points you have to note down. Later you can see the recorded session, not a problem, but if you note down, it will be good. Okay, finally, tall plant, dwarf plant. Then, uh, so now you consider myself Gregor Mendel or yourself as Gregor Mendel. What we are doing? We are going for cross pollination. I hope you know what is meant by pollination. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. This is called pollination. If this pollination happens between two different plants, then we call it as cross pollination. So we are going for cross pollination. This is one plant, this is another plant. I have taken pollen grains from this plant with the help of a small brush and I dusted over the stigma of this. So what we call cross pollination. So after cross pollination, okay, fertilization happens, then the seeds and fruits are formed and I have collected those seeds and I raise the next crop. I mean next generation. So this experiment you cannot finish in 1 or 2 days. You have to wait until you get the next generation. So here what happened? Gone for cross, even fertilization also you can say, or cross pollination also you can say. Fertilization, and I got the seeds, then I raised those seeds. All plants have grown as tall plants. This is very interesting thing. You don't go for reasons, just you observe what is happening in front of our eyes. Just they have taken tall plant and dwarf plant. And there is no blending of both characters. Both traits have not blended. The first thing, tall and dwarf. Tall and dwarf, are these examples to the traits or examples to the characters? Trait. So trait. And both belong to one character. What is the character here? What character have we taken here? Height of the plant. Yeah. How many characters we have considered here? So we call it as monohybrid cross. Clear? Monohybrid cross. Why do you say? Because we have considered only one character. So we call it as monohybrid cross. Finally, the result. So generally, this generation, we call it as F1 generation. These two we can consider as parents. Then you may get one question, sir, why tall? Because here one of the parents is short. Why short is not expressed, or else both should mix up, no? Why? So they did not. You cannot understand now. Slowly you can understand. Finally, this is the result. Okay. And I raised these plants and I waited until they get maturity. And again, next, when they have developed, then I have gone for self fertilization. This is important. There itself. When self fertilization has done, here I got two types of plants. Few plants, I mean, not few, many plants have grown as tall plants, and few plants have grown as dwarf plants. For example, uh, if I have obtained 100 plants, for example, I'm telling 100 plants, 75 plants have grown as tall and 25 plants have grown as dwarf. I have done many times the same experiment, same result, approximately same kind of results I have got. That means 75% is tall, 25% is dwarf. So then this generation, I can call it as F2 generation. So till here, what happened? Once again, I tell you in brief. Taken one tall and dwarf plant as parents. Two plants have been selected as parents. One is tall and another one is dwarf. Both are has undergone cross fertilization and obtained the next generation, and all the plants have grown as tall plants. That I call it F1 generation. Then in F1 generation, once they grow enough, then self-fertilization has been performed and the next generation is obtained, and that generation is F2 generation. Here I got 75% tall plants and 25% dwarf plants. Okay. Any doubts here? Even by closing your eyes, you must be able to say entire experiment. This is very simple, right? We have seen three generations, parents, F1 and F2. What are the characters of what is the traits are in parents and in F1, F2? You need to compare one to another. Any doubts here? We try to find the reasons. We try to find the reasons. Why later. So this is the results we are getting. We are doing experiments, we are getting results. We are noting down everything. Then we will try to produce F3 generation. You should remember always whenever you are going for monohybrid cross and dihybrid cross, first one to obtain F1 generation, you should go for cross pollination. Next onwards, self pollination to observe. Okay, now when the dwarf plants are self-fertilized to produce F3 generation, then these dwarf plants keep producing only dwarf. Then F3, F4, F5, F6, how many I produce? They are producing only dwarf plants, right? Then I could call them as pure plant. Pure plant means after many, repeated self fertilizations, if it produces the same kind of trait, same kind of expression, then we can call them as pure. It may be dwarf, tall, whatever it may be. Pure means without any changes. Keep giving. But we cannot say here the tall plants as pure, because these tall plants, they have given two varieties, right? Here tall plant, dwarf plants have come in F2 generation. So we could not say F1 as pure, because they did not retain the same trait, the same expression, because they have deviated into dwarf and tall. When I have performed experiments, when I have continued the experiment of self fertilization, and these plants keep producing dwarf only. So I have concluded as pure plants, right? Okay, now I'll come to the tall plants. Then these tall plants, listen carefully, because see, you can continue reading because I don't have enough space, so going up. When I produced F3 generation, in this tall plants, a few have given tall, and again few have given into dwarf. So see the difference, how the dwarf plant is performing, how the tall plant is performing. This is what you need to note down. So dwarf plants keep producing only dwarf by self-fertilization. Whereas here the tall plants which we have obtained, and few, and I'm not telling all tall plants, at least 50% of the tall plants are producing tall and dwarf. 50%, total 75%, right? Here we have obtained 10, 100 plants here. Just keep in your mind 100 plants for your understanding. F1, see in F2, how many plants have been obtained? Total 100 plants in F2. In that, 25 are dwarf, 75 are tall. Okay, this 25, there is no problem. They keep producing only dwarf. This 75 plants. In the 75, 50 plants are producing tall and dwarf. 50 plants. Remaining 25 are there, no? Remaining 25, they are producing only tall. This is the logic you need to understand. So clearly, okay, children, F2 generation you understood well, dwarf and tall. Even F3, dwarf plants have produced only dwarf. When you come to tall plants, 50%. I mean, here 75 plants are there. In that, 50 plants are producing both tall and dwarf, and 25 plants, 25 tall plants, they are keep producing only tall. When they are retaining their expression, then we can call this also pure. So this I can say pure tall, dwarf, this pure always. Listen, children. Here I am able to say, this tall is pure. Could I say here this is also tall? Outside expression is same here in this case and in this case. Here I am not able to say that it is pure. Why? It is producing tall and dwarf. So I cannot say pure. Then what could I say? I can say hybrid. This is not pure tall, hybrid tall. Why? It has produced tall and dwarf. In that, in 75, 25 plants are producing wood. They are, keep producing only tall. So this 25 are tall. Remaining 50, they are keep producing tall and dwarf. And these I say as hybrid plants, hybrid tall plants. Any doubts? Note down first. So parents, F1 generation, F2 generation, F3 generation. These are all these four things we have to consider. Simple. You can ask your doubts now. Clear. So, okay, okay. So for everything here, many questions are there. Why only tall here? Because tall and dwarf both are joined together, mixed up because cross fertilization. Why only tall here? That is number one. Mendel has to explain that. And then here, when you consider these two, F1 and F2, here only tall, but why tall and dwarf have produced? This is question number two. And when you consider here dwarf, why they are producing only dwarf always? Question number 3. And the tall few are producing only tall. It's okay. We can correlate with this question. And again, why some of the tall are producing tall and vast? This is another question. So we will try to understand answers for all these questions in the next session. Okay, children. Any other doubts? Okay, we'll meet in the next session. Bye. Have a nice day.